Trump just lost his undeclared war in Yemen, as the United States has effectively retreated from Yemen's Red Sea waters, after intense attacks by the Houthis. This war was called Operation Rough Rider, which was launched in March 2025, and it has ended in failure, just like the effort by the Biden administration, which was called Operation Prosperity Guardian. The USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier was forced to withdraw, following coordinated missile, drone, and naval strikes by the Houthis, who claimed to have hit the carrier. This retreat marks a significant setback for the U.S. military presence in the region, amid ongoing conflict linked to the Gaza war and U.S. support for Israel. Therefore, a hurried ceasefire agreement was mediated by Oman on May 6, 2025, under which the U.S. agreed to stop airstrikes against the Houthis, who in turn pledged to cease attacks on U.S. and allied shipping lanes in the Red Sea. But Trump misstated when he said that the Houthis capitulated. Trump said the Houthis told the U.S. they don't want to fight anymore and promised to stop attacking ships in the Red Sea. Oman's foreign minister said the deal means neither side would target the other, ensuring freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. However, the Houthis said it was the United States that backed down, and their political bureau stated their military operations in support of Gaza will continue, indicating they have not fully agreed to cease fighting. Importantly, the Trump administration is hiding U.S. casualty numbers for Operation Rough Rider. Despite over 1,000 airstrikes targeting the Houthis, the White House, Pentagon, and U.S. Central Command have refused to disclose how many U.S. service members have been killed or wounded. Plus, the Defense Department is providing treatment for post-traumatic stress, due to combat trauma. It is reported that the American servicemen were not expecting to be fired upon, and so suffered a lot of trauma, not to mention injury and even death. The operation has involved significant military engagement, including the loss of 2 F/A-18 fighter jets and many injuries to personnel. The Houthis also seriously damaged the USS Eisenhower, and which retreated the Red Sea at high speed, so it would not sink. Plus, the Houthis have downed 7 MQ-9 Reaper drones, the most sophisticated drones that America possesses. Each Reaper drone costs $30 million. Then, there is the problem of cost offset in Operation Rough Rider, which stems from a significant economic asymmetry in the conflict. The Houthis use low-cost drones, around $10,000 each, and locally produced surface-to-air missiles, to destroy expensive U.S. military assets, such as MQ-9 Reaper drones, valued at $30 million each, and interceptors, costing $2 to $4 million per missile. This creates a severe financial strain on U.S. resources, with $200 million spent on munitions in just 3 weeks, while the Houthis can rapidly replenish their arsenal, using locally sourced materials. Despite extensive airstrikes, numbering over 1,000, the Houthis' resilience, fortified underground defenses, and decentralized command have not been destroyed. The operation's sustainability was questioned within the Pentagon, due to the rapid depletion of precision munitions needed for other strategic priorities. The total costs of Operation Rough Rider are expected to far exceed $1 billion. And what did the USA gain? In this entire fiasco, the United States killed a lot of innocent civilians. Although the Trump administration is hiding the true numbers, it is estimated that hundreds of civilians have been killed and injured. Thus, reported civilian casualties in Operation Rough Rider include over 500 civilians, with 158 killed and 342 injured, from March 15 to April 22, 2025, according to the Yemen Data Project. Specific strikes have caused significant civilian deaths, such as a U.S. strike on a migrant detention center in Sada Governorate, reportedly killing at least 68 African migrants and injuring 47 others. Earlier strikes also reportedly killed women and children, with dozens of civilian casualties documented by Yemeni sources and independent monitors. Operation Rough Rider targeted over 1,000 sites in Yemen. The targets included multiple command and control facilities, air defense systems, advanced weapons manufacturing and storage sites, senior missile and drone officials, anti-ship ballistic and cruise missile launchers, unmanned aerial systems and uncrewed surface vessels used in attacks on shipping lanes, a cluster of buildings used for drone manufacturing near Sana'a, targeted jointly by US and UK forces. These strikes aim to degrade the Houthis' ability to attack military and commercial vessels in the Red Sea and surrounding waters. The result was complete failure. However, Operation Rough Rider's long-term impacts on Yemen's civilian population are severe. Hundreds of civilians have been killed or injured in airstrikes, including strikes on civilian infrastructure. This has resulted in loss of life, displacement, and widespread trauma among Yemeni communities. Key civilian facilities, including ports and residential areas, have been damaged or destroyed, disrupting access to essential services, trade, and humanitarian aid, worsening the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Yemen. The strikes on ports and fuel facilities have impaired the Houthis' revenue, but also contributed to fuel shortages and economic disruption affecting civilians' livelihoods and access to goods. Attacks on migrant detention centers and ongoing conflict have increased displacement within Yemen, and endangered vulnerable migrant populations trying to cross into Saudi Arabia. What has the United States left behind, after its Operation Rough Rider? Overall, the campaign has intensified Yemen's humanitarian crisis, with long-lasting consequences for civilian safety, economic stability, and social cohesion. But despite all this destruction, the Houthis remain resilient, and their recruitment and fundraising have reportedly increased, suggesting losses are temporary. As noted, the operation has become the most expensive U.S. military endeavor in the region, with costs exceeding $1 billion in weeks and concerns over sustainability of munitions stockpiles. Meanwhile, the Houthis have diversified supply chains through commercial markets, making it impossible to degrade their capabilities. Therefore, it was the Americans who sued for a ceasefire, not the Houthis, and the ceasefire only involves the United States and Yemen. The ceasefire does not cover Israel. And, so, the Houthis have declared they will continue and even escalate attacks on Israel, despite the ceasefire with the U.S., and thus the ceasefire only covers hostilities between the U.S. and Houthis, not Israel, and the Houthis insist their support for Gaza and attacks on Israel will persist. And, we should note that Trump will visit Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates from May 13 to 16, 2025, as part of a Middle East tour focused on defense, investment, and emerging technologies like artificial intelligence. During his visit to Saudi Arabia, he will attend a Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, summit on May 14, hosted by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, with leaders from the UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, and Qatar expected to participate. Trump will discuss arms deals, economic partnerships, and regional issues, including the Russia-Ukraine war and U.S.-China competition. So, the ceasefire was also needed to make sure that Trump would not have to worry about his plane being droned by the Houthis. The ceasefire is simply a way to make sure he can carry out his visit, without worrying about personal safety. Despite the typical Trump rhetoric and lies, the United States just lost again in Yemen.